Brandon Melton, driver for Team Associated, and wanted to create a video to answer some of the questions that a lot of people frequently ask me at the racetrack regarding their car and getting things properly set up. And what we want to focus on is not so much the setup of the car, meaning all the angles and toes and shock oils and pistons and springs, but more so just getting the car built correctly and getting it mechanically working the way it should. Typically what I find is a car that mechanically works in the form that it should is going to drive and handle better than a car that may have some downfalls but is equipped with all the right parts and pieces and setup information. Plus setups change, track to track, day to day, hot weather, cold weather. So, that's a lot of footage that maybe is for another time. But what we want to do is help people that if you're building a car for the very first time or if you're tearing one down, get it back together in the best possible form that's going to allow you the best results, as well as keep you in races, keep you from falling out of races and that sort. A lot of people want to tell me that they don't think the car setup is very important because they haven't properly learned how to drive yet, or they're still working on getting better as a driver. And what I like to say a lot of times in rebuttal to that is that you wouldn't try to learn to run with a cast on your leg, or you wouldn't try to learn to throw a football if it didn't have any laces on it. Getting the car right will speed up the learning curve so much in trying to learn how to properly drive these things. So, if you're going to put the time and the money and the investment into going out to the racetrack, you might as well make sure that you've done everything properly and that your car is going to give you the best performance that it possibly can. All right, in this first video, what we're going to talk about are really the basic suspension components, the linkages, and the radio tray setup. And what I'm going to start with is basically focusing on getting the suspension as free as possible. A suspension that binds up or a suspension that doesn't flow freely can greatly depreciate the handling of the race car. So the first thing I'm going to start with is the relationship between the A-arms and the hinge pins. This is a real crucial area to make sure you get right. When you first take an A-arm out of the package, sometimes what you'll notice is that if you hold your hinge pin, you don't get total free movement of the A-arm itself. So one thing I always do when I'm building a new car or replacing parts is to take a drill bit which is sized just barely larger than the hinge pin. This one specifically is a number 18 drill bit. And what you'll notice is that when you drill out the new arm, when you run the bit in and out, you're actually going to get some black plastic shavings that come out. And the black plastic shavings are just that little bit of material that you want to take off to get that hinge pin to slide as freely as possible through the A-arm. And what I'll do is just use a 4mm reamer to clean that out and get any dust that's left over. And then as you run the new hinge pin through the arm, you'll see now where you've got a much freer A-arm onto that hinge pin. Therefore, what's going to happen is that's going to free up your suspension to get it as free as possible to have the best handling car. One thing I will do before main events, especially at a larger race, is to disassemble the arms and the hinge pins, and I want to clean up the hinge pins and get them like new, and then also clean out the arms so that the arms stay as free as what we just showed you for the most important races. And on race days, what I'll do after qualifying, especially after you've had between practice and qualifying 30-45 minutes on your car, is to take a Scotch-Brite pad, your hinge pin, and chuck it up into a screwdriver like this or a drill. And as you use the Scotch-Brite pad on the hinge pin, what that's going to do is it's going to clean off any dirt, any debris, any cleaners that you've been cleaning the car off with throughout the day. Every foreign matter you want to get out of that arm. So that Scotch-Brite pad really helps to remove the stuff that a simple rag won't remove. Also, after that, what you want to do is also get the arm cleaned out as well. It's got the same dirt and debris in it that the hinge pins have on it. So what I like to use is basically a pipe cleaner that you can get in the arts and crafts section of any Walmart or Target or anything like that. And I'll take the dirty A-arm and I'll take the pipe cleaner and just spray it down with a degreaser, a simple green type of cleaner that most people have handy at the racetrack. And with the cleaner onto the pipe cleaner, I'll just take it and run it through a couple times And when you run it through the A-arm, you'll notice a ton of dirt and gunk and everything that comes off onto the cleaner. So after you run that through, just take an air compressor or the dry end of that and run it back through the A-arm and make sure you get the the fluid and the liquid cleaned out of there. But that will then make your arm as clean as new, make your hinge pin as clean as new, and really freshen up the car and make the handling as good as it can be for your main event. Alright, the next thing with the suspension components that sometimes out of the package could possibly need improved upon are the joint between the steering knuckle and the caster block. Out of the package, sometimes what might happen is when you move the steering block back and forth, it feels kind of resistant. It's not as smooth and as fluid as it should be. So the way I correct this is to take another drill bit. This one is specifically 15/64 is the size bit that you'll need, and you'll just run the bit through the top and bottom holes in the caster block where the bushings go through. And then after you run that bit through, what you'll notice is then you've got a much freer steering block movement, which will make the steering smoother, also help the servo center itself better, and just overall improve the steering performance of the vehicle. Alright, the next focus area on the car, on the front end, is to make sure that you get the upper arm located correctly into the caster block. This location is going to change depending on what front bushing you run in the A plate, whether it's 2 down or 1 dot, 2 dot up, 3 dot up, and so forth. The silver washers that are used in the top of the caster block are going to need to go in different locations depending on what setting you're using on that A block. So that's one thing to keep in mind when trying to get suspension as free as possible. On my car, I've got the 2 up dot in the A plate. So what that means is that when that upper arm falls into the caster block, it's falling right against the front side. Okay, that's with 16-degree caster inserts. So using the stock caster inserts, the stock location on the A block, you're going to want to make sure that when you run the screw through the upper arm, through the caster block, that you locate the silver cone washers onto the back side, okay, of the link. If you were to run less caster, or if you were to change the dot in the A plate, what's going to happen then is the caster block is going to then lean further forward. Okay, so then you're going to want to see where that link naturally falls into the caster block, then shim it accordingly. Alright, you don't want to just use the same spacing up here no matter what you change on the front end, because that can cause the suspension to bind up. So the way I'm going to assemble my car using my settings will be to slide the screw through, and then I'll go back later and I'll install the 2 silver washers on the back side of that link with my settings, because that's where my arm wants to naturally fall into the caster block.